Preview season rolls on here on the channel, and today it's all about the Auburn Tigers. How are they going to improve? What are they going to be here in 2025? When there's not a lot of uncertainty based on the roster and what we know so far, but how will it go forward? How will it eventually turn into what we'll see on the field, and what will that look like in 2025? Of course, we go through all that. Start with the 2024 season recap. We got all that here on the channel today. Welcome in to Armchair Analysis. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, enjoying the content so far. We've been going really well. We're only one day behind due to, again, family emergency. I am finally back in North Carolina, back home, and ready to continue hammering things out. So with that said, I thank you guys so much for tuning in. I thank you guys for your patience in all this, and still tuning into the last couple of videos. They were not necessarily the greatest quality, and I know that. Unfortunately, with the equipment that I have and had with me, with what I expected the week to be, didn't particularly do me any favors. But it's all good. We will be just fine to continue to roll on. So today, again, all about Auburn, and let's go ahead and get right into it. When you look back at 2024 for this team, there were a handful of question marks. First off, they went 5-7, 2-6 in conference play. They didn't have necessarily the lightest schedule, but they were also not, I don't think, mentally prepared to be where they were. And not only that, they didn't have the weapons, I don't feel, around Peyton Thorne to do what they probably wanted to do. Found themselves getting behind a lot. This is a team that offensively scored almost 28 points a game, 71st in the country. The problem was they didn't score like that in SEC play, which is where they really got bit. They allowed only 21 points per game, 21.3 to be exact. Good for 28th in college football. And turnover margin per game, negative 0.4, 95th in the country. They didn't put themselves in good positions to really win games. And when they were, was when we saw them really at their best last year. The biggest thing here that we have to look at is Peyton Thorne. Was he as bad as we thought? My personal answer is no. I don't think he was near as bad as people want to claim that he was. This is a guy that had 21 touchdowns, 9 interceptions last year. He threw 4 of those 9 in the Cal game. Was his worst game by far of the season. But he was huge for them in creating opportunities. When I say that, he was able to use his legs, willing to use his legs even. He was able to find that open man, Cam Coleman being his favorite target throughout the course of last year, the young player, young wide receiver. With that, plus the fact that Jarquez Hunter was on this team, Jarquez Hunter carried a lot. It just, for whatever reason, things didn't work out, and I'm not fully sure why. But we move into another year. This is year 2 for Derek Nix as offensive coordinator, year 2 for DJ Durkin as defensive coordinator. So we have a year in the book. We have a bit of a journal, I would say, of what we expect Auburn to be. So let's go ahead and transfer this into 2025. Again, you're coming off of 5-7. You're looking to at least get to a bowl game. But this is a team that's only 16th in the country in terms of odds to win a national championship. They're just outside the top 15, and that could change any given moment. They are a top 10 team. I'd actually probably even further up than that, maybe top 7 or 8 team to win the SEC. They're in the top half. There's a lot of questions for a team that's over-under sits at only 7.5. There's a lot of hope. There's a lot of maybe expectation for a team whose over-under sits at 7.5. The schedule is workable when we look at that, and we'll talk more about the schedule later. This is not 5-7 or 6-6, really even 7-5. Anything below that win total, I think, would be kind of looked at as almost a failure, given the expectations and the hopes that I think a lot of people in Auburn have. Should they have those hopes? That's a totally different conversation, and really not for me to decide. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Again, Hugh Freeze coming into another year as a head coach. Derek Nick's going to be his second year as offensive coordinator. And he's going to have his choice of quarterback. Now, we all project, everybody expects it, Jackson Arnold is the quarterback. But let's talk about the options here. You have Ashton Daniels coming over from Stanford. He's going to be an option. And you have Deuce Knight, true freshman, star player. Everybody's expecting huge things for him in the future. What can he do for you in 2025? The thing that Jackson Arnold doesn't have that the other two do is the ability to use their legs to be a little bit more dynamic in the run game. The thing that none of these quarterbacks have proven is the ability to take care of the football. Ashton Daniels struggled with turnovers at Stanford. Jackson Arnold struggles with turnovers at Oklahoma. Deuce Knight, we just don't know, but he's a true freshman. What do we really expect from a true freshman quarterback? The question remains, can Jackson Arnold make better decisions? A change of scenery was certainly needed. Can that translate to being, again, a better decision maker, better, more decisive, able to lead an offense, and a competent offense at that, through the course of 12 games? My answer is yes. I think it's going to happen. Hugh Freeze has a pretty solid record with quarterbacks who have struggled in other places. I don't really feel like this is going to be a problematic year, but I do think it's worth noting. I think that Jackson Arnold, I think the ceiling is only so high for a guy like Jackson Arnold. It makes you really wonder where you're going to be and what things will look like week in, week out. At running back, you lose Jarquez Hunter, I think it can't be overstated how much that hurts to lose somebody like that in the running game. Now, Damari Alston, Jeremiah Cobb are two guys that I think are going to split carries, and I really expect a lot of good out of both of them. But can they combine to replace Jarquez Hunter? I don't fully know how I feel or if I believe that that's possible. Not saying he was the best. He wasn't the best running back in the country, but he meant a lot, and he was really a bell cow back for multiple seasons. We'll see who can step in. Damari Alston being a senior, I project to be probably the lead back here. But again, we're in June. Things can change. Somebody can be more impressive as we go. At wide receiver, this is where things get really interesting. A couple transfer receivers that I think are going to make a little bit of an impact. Eric Singleton from Georgia Tech is going to make an impact. He's one of the best wide receivers in college football. He is going to be a big deal. Cam Coleman, of course, is not a transfer, but he's been there. He's been in the system. He's going to be a good player. Horatio Fields, coming over from Wake Forest. That's a guy, and that's a name that I think we really need to keep an eye on, and what he can do and what he can mean to this program and to this team in 2025. He has not been a star, somebody who can just jump out of nowhere and be a really, like a wide receiver 1 type caliber player. But he can be a guy that takes some attention off of, again, an Eric Singleton, a Cam Coleman. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Horatio Fields has a 50 to 100 yard receiving game or two here this season, just because of what attention the other two are going to get. To go along with that, we talked about other wide receivers. You got Malcolm Simmons, another sophomore that came in last year with Cam Coleman. Two guys who have proven themselves, have solidified themselves in the offense. I think this wide receiver room is, I'd say, head and shoulders above last year's if you're Auburn. Brandon Frazier comes back, a senior tight end. He'll be a big deal. And then Preston Howard coming over from Maryland, I think is going to be a pretty interesting guy and seeing where he fits into this offense. two guys at the tight end position who I think can do both. They can block really well. They've proven that, but they can also be a little bit of a difference maker in the passing game as well. The options that this Auburn offense has are plentiful. Again, decision making at quarterback. That's the biggest thing that's holding me back, is decision making at quarterback. The offensive line expects to improve tenfold. I was actually listening to the Auburn 24/7 guys. I was reading up what they had to say about this team, and the offensive line is expected to be much, much better this year, which would help the decision making, would help things be a little bit, the game slow down a bit for Jackson Arnold or Ashton Daniels or Deuce Knight. If that happens, we're talking about an offense that can easily be a 28 points per game team, even in SEC play. You can move over to the defense, and DJ Durkin leads this team with 11 of 11 projected starters returning from the 2024 roster, which is a huge deal. That's continuity at its finest in modern day college football in 2025. To have 11 of 11 projected starters be from last year's team is rare. Go find me, a bunch of teams. You can't do it. This is a big deal. They return their leader and tackles from last year. You have to go all the way down to fourth on the team, but it's Caleb Harris returning with 46 combined tackles. Tackles for loss, Keldrick Falk. Sacks, Keldrick Falk. He had 11 tackles for loss, 7 sacks last year. K.N. Lee comes back. He led the team in interceptions with 2. And then in forced fumbles, it was Keldrick Falk and Caleb Harris, both 1 each. The biggest thing for this defense, and a DJ Durkin defense is always going to be keen to do this, is take the football away from your opponent. Force turnovers, force bad field position, just be an absolute, what's the word you might want to use here? Just be a pain in the butt, pain in the ass. I don't know. That's just kind of what the first thing that comes to mind. Be a team that makes other offenses uncomfortable. I think they have a really good baseline to do that. And again, the continuity coming back, the guys who are in this system for now over a year, I think it only helps this defense to improve. Do I think they go below 20 points per game allowed? I don't know. I don't believe so. Now, it's not impossible because, again, the schedule is not the toughest schedule in the world. But it's going to be really interesting. The defense for the first, at least week 1, when they go on the road to Baylor on Friday night, that game is going to be bound and determined by what the defense does, because I think the offense is going to have a little bit of growing pains in that one. So, moving on, my overall thoughts for this team, as I do every time I write a little paragraph, what I think about this team, and there's a handful of things that came to my mind. So this team on paper looks really good. On paper. Will Jackson Arnold fix turnover issues? Will the defense create turnovers and help this offense out a little bit, especially early in the season? If so, the team's question marks, which are, again, their quarterback and how the defense can, again, force issues for other teams. But they have a workable schedule. Very workable. And I've said that multiple times, and some of you are going to be sitting here asking, well, okay, if you're going to keep talking about the schedule, let's talk about the schedule. Gladly. Let's go ahead and take a look. You go on the road to Baylor week 1, and that's a big deal. That's Friday night, 8 p.m. on Fox. In Waco, McLean Stadium is going to be rocking, buzzing. They're pumped about the season they're supposed to have, and we'll talk about Baylor later on, so no need to worry. But then you get Ball State, South Alabama. That's 2 games to really sort yourself out. South Alabama is down. They've lost damn near everything through the portal. And Ball State is a team that the same thing really happens. Every MAC school gets ate up by the portal. So that's 2 games you should win. You move on from that, though. You go on the road to Oklahoma, you go on the road to Texas A&M. Winnable games, but they're not going to be easy. Georgia, winnable. I don't, especially in Jordan-Hare, winnable game. Missouri, winnable game. Arkansas, winnable. Kentucky, winnable. If you watched it, you know how I feel. Vandy, winnable. Mercer, should be a win. Alabama, winnable. I mean, Alabama, and apologies, my eye itches. Alabama is not the juggernaut of the Nick Saban era. Are they good? Yes. Are they a team that I think will make the college football playoff? Yes. Are they a team that anybody on any given Saturday can walk in and win a game? Especially in the SEC? Yes. So if you look at this, there's really only... there's not a guaranteed loss on the schedule. There's not a game where I would say it's above 80-20. Hear me again. There is not a game here where I would say it's above 80-20 for the opponent over Auburn. But there's also, other than Mercer and Ball State and South Alabama, other than the non-conference, those 3 non-con games, there's not a game where I would say it's over 80-20 in favor of Auburn. This is an unpredictable schedule. This is a schedule that we don't know how this is going to play out, because we don't know what problems will be solved from the Auburn perspective, and we don't know what question marks are going to be answered from the others either. Again, that's why we're projecting what we expect to happen. This is one of the toughest ones we've had yet. So with that, let's go ahead and predict the schedule. Week 1, you go on the road to Baylor. Friday night, McLean Stadium, rocking. That's part 1. Part 2, a lot of continuity for Baylor. This is a team offensively that returns a lot, and I think that what they don't return and what they bring in is going to be able to make up very quickly for what they are. I love Sawyer Robertson. I love this offense as a whole. I love the defense. I think Dave Aranda's done a great job of having this defense be good year in, year out, keeping them competitive and really keeping him in a job. After last year, this is a team that I think is a favorite potentially to go to the Big 12 championship game. As for Auburn, this is a team that, again, we have to wonder, is Jackson Arnold going to be good? If it's not Jackson Arnold, is Ashton Daniels going to be good? And if it's Deuce Knight by some miracle, and it's not a miracle, by the way, because what would happen then is you have an inexperienced quarterback going to a hostile environment. If that doesn't work, plus the fact that there's so many things changing, the defense is going to have to reign supreme here. But if we're talking defense, even though it travels, I trust Baylor's defense more. I trust Baylor's offense more in this game, especially week 1. You put this game in week 3 on September 13th, you put this game on September 6th even, we're probably talking a different game. I'm giving Baylor the win here. I really trust this Baylor team at home in week 1. I don't really need to explain 2 wins. Ball State, South Alabama. That's 2 simple big wins there. Oklahoma on the road. I've been super vocal of how I feel about John Mateer, Jaden Knott, Ben Arbuckle as the offensive coordinator, and knowing what we're going to get out of an Oklahoma defense. This game in Norman, even though Jackson Arnold's returning, I think it's going to be a lot more. I think we may see the old Jackson Arnold come out a little bit in this game in Norman. Taking Oklahoma to get that one done. So now you go on the road to Texas A&M, another tough environment, another tough place to play. The one thing I'm hearing a lot of is a lot of love for Texas A&M, and while I'm not saying I don't like them, I'm not buying the hype the same way a lot of other people are. And maybe that's going to bite me. The one time I don't buy A&M hype, buy a little A&M stock, they go ahead and make the playoff. So be it. As of this game right here, I trust the Auburn offense. I think that offense is going to be incredible by the time we start really getting rolling, and by the time I think people get comfortable. And don't misunderstand comfort for complacency. by the time Jackson Arnold, by the time the wide receivers, Eric Singleton, Cam Coleman, Horatio Fields, Malcolm Simmons, all those guys start to work together and be a cohesive unit, this becomes a dangerous team the rest of the way through. And saying that, I'm taking a win on the road in Kyle Field over A&M. You'll play Georgia in Jordan-Hare, and I almost pulled the trigger on this, but I don't believe it. And I don't say things I don't believe here. So in doing that, I have a loss to Georgia. So you come out of the first half at 3-3. And you sit here wondering, it's workable back half. I mean, this back half, you don't have really a guaranteed loss. Can this end up being a 9-3 team that makes a push for the playoff? Hard to say. You've lost your three of your toughest games, 3 out of 4 of your toughest games. So what are you going to have go on the next half? Well, one thing's for certain. I like this Missouri team a lot, but I don't love them. And I don't love the offense specifically of this Missouri team. I think the defense is going to be good. I think this is a team that really worked the portal well. But at some point, I think that, again, this Auburn offense picks up, starts figuring things out. And I think Auburn's going to get the win, especially at home. If this game's in Columbia at Faurot Field, maybe a different conversation. You go on the road to Arkansas. I'm going to give a win here. I think Arkansas is going to be a good team, another tough out, but it'll be a win. Kentucky, another win. Again, it's who's got the better offense, because we know 2 defenses are going to be solid, taking the Auburn offense. At Vanderbilt, now this is a tricky spot. Vandy's still good. Vandy's not going anywhere. But I'm not buying that it's going to happen a second year in a row where they just go insane, win 7-8 games. I'm going to go ahead and give Auburn the win there. Go ahead and give them a win over Mercer. So you walk into the final game of the year in Jordan-Hare Stadium against Alabama on a 5-game winning streak and winning 6 of your last 7. 6 of your last 7. Make sure you hear that correctly. Momentum is on your side. Now, we don't know what Alabama's going to be. We don't know where they're going to be at this point in the season because, frankly, we haven't predicted them yet. But at this point, you are already over your over-under win total. You're already sitting in a really good spot. You're a 2-loss team in the SEC. There may be a chance for you to sneak into that game in Atlanta. You also may be able to sneak into the playoff at 9-3 should you get a win over Alabama. A lot on the line in this game. I think it's going to be the most meaningful Iron Bowl we've had in a really long time. However, I'm giving Alabama the win here. I think that this team as a whole, I think this is going to be one of the most competitive Iron Bowls we've seen in a really long time. I think this is 2 teams that are going to go toe-to-toe. They're going to battle hard. This is going to be a 20, maybe a first team to 30 wins. But it's going to be just a war, I think, in this game. The biggest thing for me is who's the most proven team, who's the proven commodity, and even more so than that, who, as a head coach, do you trust more? Right now, I stand just a little bit more on the side of Kalen DeBoer, a little bit more on the side of Ryan Grubb as an offensive coordinator, and a little bit more on the side of Kane Womack versus DJ Durkin, even though it's not by much. The coaching staff of Alabama gives them that advantage in this game, but this is a game that is going to be just a ton of fun. And don't be disheartened. Don't be disheartened. 8-4, 5-3. That's a good year, and then you get Deuce Knight. Cam Coleman's going to return. Malcolm Simmons is going to return. This is not a team that's just going to go and, well, that was our chance. I guess we're back to nothing. You're winning portal battles. You're winning battles in recruiting. If you're Auburn right now, you are excited about the direction and the trajectory of the program. Getting back to the top. Getting back to competitive football in the SEC. You're excited about that. At least you should be. And if you're not, then you're either negative, you're maybe just a conservative optimist, but I would certainly be buying a lot of stock in this Auburn program over the next few years. With that said, remember this. You know your team better than I know your team. It's always been the case, and it always will be the case. You know your team better than me, simply because it's hard to cover 134, 135, 136, whatever number we are sitting at currently. It is hard to cover every single team at the FBS level with intense detail. And sometimes you miss things. I miss things all the time. But if you are an Auburn fan, if you're an SEC fan, maybe you've just looked into Auburn a little bit and you think there's something I missed out on, please let me know. I would love to hear it. I'm all for the feedback. I love the conversations that we get in the comments all the time. They're a lot of good. They do a lot of good for people getting to understand what they're looking for. Maybe your team plays Auburn. Maybe you want to know a little more about Auburn. That comment section is meant for that kind of discussion. Feel free to use it. Make sure you leave a like if you've gotten this far in the video. Subscribe, comment down below. Because if you've gotten this far in the video, you probably at least enjoyed or thought I had something good to say at some point here. Maybe rarely, but maybe you thought I had something good to say. Make sure you do that. It just helps me out. It helps you find my videos. It helps me continue to get this content to you guys. And it just helps in the algorithm, helps these videos get out to further people. So all that's appreciated. Not going to sit here and beg for your support, but I do appreciate it all. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Tomorrow we return, and I'm going to be honest, I haven't even taken a chance to look at who we got tomorrow. Let me go unprofessional here and see what the ACC team on deck is. I know it's ACC. That's all I got. Let's see here. Next team up is the Cal Golden Bears. I'm excited. A team that's gotten decimated by the portal, losing their quarterback, their running back, wide receivers. This is a team that we're going to have to really figure out who they are and what they're going to be. Make sure you tune in for that one. Again, like, subscribe, comment down below. We will see you in the next one. The outro video, it's back.